Well, again, hello everyone. I wanted to get back with you for this follow-up on the thyroid scan and uptake. Last time I left you, I had taken the radioactive iodine capsule and was told to come back about 4 to 5 hours later to have pictures taken of the thyroid and also what's called the uptake. So I went in about 1:30. They got to me about 2 o'clock. Boy, the nurses were great at the facility, and I can't say enough about the nurses there who are on the front lines who interact with the patients. They were just wonderful. But she did the uptake procedure first, which I was surprised. I didn't realize they were going to do the uptake yesterday along with the pictures, and then I knew there was a second uptake, which I did today. But anyway, they did the first uptake, and that is basically a counting of the radioactive iodine, the total number of radioactive iodine in your whole area, your thyroid area. It's not looking so much specific as it is just the amount of radioactive iodine that has been absorbed in the thyroid. To get a base, they took that whatever the machine was and placed it on my leg and took a 1-minute reading of the leg, because they said that right above my knee that represents about the same as your neck. And since the radioactive iodine has been basically throughout the bloodstream, they would then subtract that number from the thyroid, which concentrates the radioactivity, and the radioactive iodine that may be going up through my neck and through the veins. And so they took a base reading of my knee, then they would take the reading for 1 minute of the entire thyroid, and then they would do the subtraction to calculate the gross iodine in that area. So that was called the uptake. How much of that, I guess, my thyroid soaked up or took up the iodine. So then I went back to get the pictures. And of course, if you do go through this procedure, always smile when they take your picture. And so they took 4 pictures, 1 on each side, one first on the left side, and they took 1 on the right side. Then I would turn my head to one side and they would get somewhat of a side angle, and again somewhat of a side angle. This was a machine you would just lay down on your back. A pillow would prop your head so that your chin was laid back a little bit more, and also something under your legs to make you comfortable. Each picture would take about 3 to 5 minutes. You could swallow basically, but it's best if you try to stay somewhat still. Try not to move around because of the duration of that time. Now what they're trying to do there is take a specific picture of the thyroid, and that will show the concentration as a picture format of the shape of the thyroid and the concentration levels of the radioactive iodine. They have what they would call, I think, hot spots and cold spots. Hot spots would be spots that have really absorbed a lot of the radioactive iodine, so it would show up with a redder tone. And then if there's any areas that have not absorbed maybe sufficient quantities of the radioactive iodine, it would come up as a blue or cold spot. So that's what they're looking for. With 3 to 5 minutes per picture, it takes a while to do that. They also, because it's a small camera and it's almost focused very small, they wanted to get a little bit larger picture, which that could not do. So I went to another. It was a gamma. I think it's a gamma camera. They have a larger one, which I was under that, and it took probably a much larger area, a little bit lower than the other one took, and that again takes 3 to 5 minutes. The reason why it takes 3 to 5 minutes is the amount of radioactivity on the uptake. So if you had a normal uptake reading, then you would fall into that 3 to 5 minute range per picture, because it had to be exposed long enough in order to get a good picture. So the more radioactive iodine you have, the shorter the picture length. Excuse me. The less radioactive iodine you had in your thyroid, the longer the exposure, maybe 5 minutes or more. So it's painless, you don't feel anything. I was in there for about no longer than an hour. So I did the first uptake and the pictures, and I left. And so this morning I went back for the second uptake. What's happening is the iodine has a short life cycle, and it's beginning to decay as radioactive materials has a half-life. And so they want to see how, I'm not sure exactly what they want to see, but they did measure to see the decay rate of the iodine. And so I took another uptake. Again, they take a base of your leg, a base reading, and then of the entire area here, and then they do the calculations. Now my reading today was 22, and that was the second reading, 22. The normal range that it should fall into was between 8 and 30, so mine was 22. They're in the middle. Don't know if that's good or bad, but it's in the middle. On my first reading, the range was from about 4 to 15, and mine was an 8. So here again, someone in the middle. Don't know if that's good or bad. So it will take 2 or 3 days for these to be, actually they'll have to be read by the radiologist, and then a report and all the information sent to my doctor, my endo doctor, Dr. Endo. And then he will contact me as to the report, whether it needs to be looked into further with my thyroid, or whether that may be it. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope this has been helpful to you. It's a really non-invasive procedure. It's not uncomfortable at all. It's nothing to feel. The nurses are great, and it was just a good experience for this thyroid scan and uptake. So until later, God bless you, and praying that if you are going through things, that you'll have the peace of mind to know that God loves you, and that all things work for good to them that love God, to those who are called. And so with that, we'll say goodbye.